Here's something genuinely strange about you. You are the only animal on Earth that cries because it's sad. And after centuries of looking, nobody can fully explain why. Think about the two ways your eyes water. You stub your toe, and they water. You watch a film about a dog, and they water. It's the same salty little drop both times, but for two completely different reasons. And one of those reasons might belong to human beings alone. Because you don't actually make one kind of tear, you make three. There are basal tears, the thin film that's always there, quietly keeping your eyes alive. There are reflex tears, the ones that come flooding in to flush out onions or grit. And then there are emotional tears, and those are the strange ones. Take that constant film first, because it's doing far more than keeping things wet. Back in 1922, years before he ever stumbled onto penicillin, Alexander Fleming discovered that your tears are laced with an enzyme called lysozyme, something that literally punches holes in bacteria, which means every single time you blink, you are quietly disinfecting your own eyes. Then you've got reflex tears, and those are basically an emergency response. When you slice into an onion, it releases a tiny cloud of an irritant gas, and the surface of your eye reads it as an attack, so it hits the sprinklers to wash the whole thing away. There's no emotion in it at all. It is pure defense. But emotional tears, those aren't just sadness leaking out of your face. They're chemically a different liquid. Back in the 1980s, a biochemist named William Fry found that emotional tears carry far more protein than reflex tears, along with stress hormones, and even a natural painkiller that your own brain makes. A reflex tear is mostly just water. An emotional tear has an actual recipe. Frey also went and counted who cries and how often. On average, women cried around 5 times a month, and men just over once. But here's the part that gives it away. Boys and girls cry at almost exactly the same rate, right up until puberty. Then testosterone arrives and turns the whole thing down. So a lot of this isn't really about how much you feel. It's about plumbing and hormones. Which brings us to the idea you have definitely heard, that a good cry flushes all the stress out of you, like pulling the plug on a drain. It's a lovely theory. It's on 1,000 inspirational posters. There's just one small problem: it has never actually been proven. In fact, when researchers show people a sad film in a lab, the ones who cry feel worse straight afterwards, not better. They only start to feel better than they did to begin with about 90 minutes later, and mostly when someone around them responds with a little comfort. So the relief was never your body draining out toxins. It was other people all along. And that turns out to be the first real clue to what tears are actually for. Because emotional crying really does seem to be ours and ours alone. Plenty of animals make reflex tears. A crocodile's eyes water while it eats, which is exactly where the phrase crocodile tears comes from. But weeping, actual tears triggered by how you feel, appears to be uniquely human. So the real question is, why on earth evolution would ever build such a thing? So look at what a tear actually does to you in the moment. It blurs your vision. For a few seconds, you genuinely cannot see straight, which means you cannot fight and you cannot run. And the evolutionary psychologist Oren Hassan argues that this isn't a flaw at all. That is the entire point. It's what's known as an honest signal. You can fake a smile easily enough, but deliberately blinding yourself right in front of another person is very hard to fake. And without saying a single word, it sends a message. I'm not a threat. I'm not going to fight you. I need you. And it might run deeper still than anything they can see. In 2011, researchers had a group of men sniff women's emotional tears, completely odorless. They couldn't smell a thing. And yet their testosterone dropped, and so did measurable arousal and aggression. Other teams have since repeated it, which suggests your tears may be a chemical message that you don't even know you're sending. And on the people around you, it genuinely works. A crying face makes others rate you as warmer, more honest, and more deserving of help, and it measurably makes them more likely to actually step in. On top of that, emotional tears may release oxytocin and endorphins, which soften the blow for you while quietly pulling everyone else closer. So crying probably isn't a malfunction, and it almost certainly isn't plumbing. It looks far more like a social superpower hiding in plain sight. The single most vulnerable thing your body can do, turned into one of the strongest bonds you have. And maybe we're the only animal that cries for the simplest reason of all, because we are the animal that needs each other the most. So the next time an advert about a dog quietly ambushes you on the sofa and your eyes betray you completely, don't worry, you're not broken, you're just broadcasting loudly at a television. And if you like the idea of your body doing ancient, slightly ridiculous things without ever asking your permission, you'll enjoy the next one, that strange little urge to jump when you're standing somewhere high. Same channel, same nervous little man.